Hello everyone, welcome back to Base Damage and welcome back to Community Fridays. This week we have another blue archive deck posted by PhantomStar in the Base Damage Discord. And let's see what he named this one. It's called Blow My Archive. You silly little bean. But anyway, no, for real, this was something very fun the other night in the Discord as of recording this. He had put together this deck based on this level 3 Hifumi and was able to pull it off very consistently for an early play condition that we'll talk about in just a moment here. But basically, there's a way to early play her, and he was able to constantly pull it off very easily with this, pulling 3 copies of her at level 1. I kid you not. So let's get into this. It is a 4-choice for standby deck. I feel that there's several pieces to the puzzle here, but is very fun once we get to it. Now, I have to remember specifically which one is the 2-1 that we do need to talk about. It is this one. Okay, it is the Azusa in the swimsuit. Basically, what the idea is to stand by this out at level 1. Pray that you don't get shot to level 1, and then get 3 copies of the level 3 Hifumi in your hand to be able to summon all 3, because basically where her effect lets you pay a cost to summon the Hifumi from your hand, then the Hifumi says when it's placed on stage from your hand, choose up to 1 copy of herself in hand, put it on any position of your stage, and this gets 3k power till end of turn, thus letting you go ahead and get a very, very large board very early on. This is just very funny. This isn't the first deck to do this kind of thing either. Hololive has a way to pull this off with a particular level 3 Sora. Maybe future me will put it on screen. But there was a similar thing that you could do, but the Sora, you could pay stock to summon itself from the deck, if I remember correctly, it's from the deck. Yeah, so you didn't have to have all the copies in hand. It was a little more tedious for the Hifumi one, but I'm not kidding when I say I should have recorded Phantom's games for this. I really should. But I watched him consistently pull this off on the simulator. This wasn't like, oh, it's because he shuffled the deck a certain way. This was on the simulator where you got to worry about, the RNG and everything. So like this can be consistently done, and it's kind of wild. So 4 copies of this, being able to once again summon copies of itself. Then the Climax combo. Now, obviously, you do have to wait till level 2 to be able to get the experience for the Climax combo, but you can summon multiple copies of it at level 1. So when Summer Sky Wishlist is placed on your Climax area, if this card is in your center stage and you have experience 4 or higher, that's why you have to wait until level 2 minimum, because you do have to get you can't get more than 3 experience into your level at one time. So you have to be able to make certain that you hit level 2, so then you get another card into your level and reach the 4 or higher requirement. Search your deck for up to 2 Kivotos characters, reveal them to your opponent. Choose 1, they go into hand. Put the rest into your stock, shuffle your deck, and this gets 1,000 power till end of turn. I can talk. So being able to basically pull off like a Muron style thing here by searching the deck instead of grabbing everything from like waiting room and all that. But either way, being able to compress highly off of this. So really funny there. So let's continue on. 3 copies of Misono Mika 3210K placed on stage from hand. Look at the X cards on top of your deck. Choose 1 card amongst them, add to your hand. X is equal to the number of Kivotos characters you have. So you can dig for your climaxes, whatever. Next is when this card attacks, if the total level of the cards in your level is 6 or higher, meaning you have to at least probably have either 3 level 2s or 2 level 3s in your level. Just saying. This gets 1,000 power till end of turn, or discard 2 cards from hand. This gets 1,000 power till end of turn. Put the bottom 4 cards of your opponent's deck into their waiting room and deal 1 damage X times to your opponent. X is the number of climaxes amongst those cards. So this is your typical, what people refer to as an icy tail finisher. It's an off finisher as well. Very nice. 3 copies of the Hina swimsuit, 329K. If your waiting room has 2 or less climaxes, gets -1 level on hand. If the total level of cards in your level is 4 or higher, this gets 1,500 power and the following ability. When the battle opponent becomes reversed, you can pay 1, pitch 1, and if you do, deal 1 damage to your opponent. This is cross turn. For people that can read English, that is cross turn. So if your opponent runs into it, you can still do the effect. It's just really funny how you could do that. And then placed on stage from hand, you can heal the top card of your clock to the waiting room. So early play, heals, and burn, all that you need. Scene of Youth Ayane. This is from the new Volume 2 set. Actually, I think, is this one also, hold on, let me double cross-check here. This one is from Set 2. A Scene of Youth Ayane 323K. Global 15 to all of your other Kivotos characters. And when this is placed on stage from hand or your level, there is another card that lets you summon stuff from level like this. You can rest one of your standing characters. If you do, your opponent chooses one climax in their waiting room, return all cards except that card from their waiting room into their deck. Then they shuffle their deck. Also, when your climax triggers, you can pitch a climax to burn your opponent for 1. So, really funny there. And just, there are like 2 Fumios as well in Blue Archive. It's just really funny to say there, but it's there. All right, so now the Azusa swimsuit is the 2-1 that summons the level 3 Hifumi. So, this is a 2/1/2K. Your level 3 or higher characters in front of this card gain 2K power. So, they're gonna the Hifumis are gonna be huge. Then Act of Pay 3, rest this to summon the Hifumi from hand. So being able to do that and just then summon multiple copies is just hilarious. 2 copies of Shimokura Megu is a 2/2/6K, gets 1,000 power for each of your other Kivotos characters, and Character Encore, your typical 2/2 standby target, but she do be looking fabulous. 2 copies of The Daily Life They Took Back Hina is a 2/1/6K. On attack, it gains power equal to the number of characters your opponent has, so if they have 5, it gains 5K. Then, when this card's level 2 or higher, battle opponent becomes reversed. If there is a climax in your climax area, you can choose a Kivotos character in your clock and put it at the bottom of your deck. So, random, like, healing off of this is just kind of funny, and if it works, it works. Getting to the level 1s, 3 copies of Wakaba Hinata 1045. Up to 1 time per turn when you use an act, backups count. This gets 1500 power and the following ability: when this card attacks, reveal the top card of your deck. If that is level 1 or higher, put it into your stock. Next, we have 4 copies of Gehenna Academy Kayoko. I talked about this last week because this is the level 1 climax combo. That literally, the climax combo is a mirror image of Callie from Hololive. Literally the same card and everything on a standby as opposed to on a choice trigger, which is really funny. So 1045, 2 or more other Kivotos gains 1,000. On attack, and you have 2 or more other Kivotos characters, you can put up to 4 cards from the top of the deck in the waiting room. So you can stop at any point, but for everyone that you mill and it has a crit trigger, you can salvage back a character with a level equal to or lower than the number of crit triggers that you revealed from the mill. And she gains an extra 500 power till end of turn. Like I said, literally Callie verbatim. So it's just really funny there. So, very cool, very nice, and moving on to the level 0s. Asagi Mutsuki New Year 002K. Place on stage from hand, choose one of your other Kivotos, give it 1,000. And when a climax gets placed onto your climax area, you can bounce this back to hand. If you do, look up 2 cards from the top of your deck, then put them back on top of the deck in any order. Choose one of your characters, it gains 1,000 power till end of turn. Getting to choose how your order is going to be is very nice. 3 copies of Yasumori Minori. This is a very, very funny card because it is what people refer to as Foolish Burial. Basically, there are some standby decks that have a card like this that lets you mill a card from the deck of your choosing. So then you can just immediately standby it out, which is just funny, and this is just really strong. So this is the 001K, placed on stage from hand. Search your deck for a Kivotos and put it into your waiting room. So literally just that, word for word, and then you shuffle your deck. So this card blew my freaking mind. I didn't know this card existed for Volume 2. I don't know any other card in the game that does this. If there is a card on the JP side that does what this Ayane does, the first effect here, we're going to talk in a second. If there's another card that does this in the game, please tell me. Please comment down below. I thought this was amazing. When another copy of this or a climax is put into your clock by refresh damage, you may put that card into your waiting room. It heals off refresh damage if it is a copy of itself, which is honestly more than I thought it was ever going to do, or if it's a climax. Do you realize how often that happens? Like Murphy's Law, sure. But that feels, I mean, especially if you're highly compressed, you have much bigger chances of that happening. That happens so much. That's just, it was like, oh, yep, no, the refresh is the climax. Aha. Like, literally, I just recorded a separate video altogether in which that happened. And I'm like, yep, of course that's going to happen. I literally said this for a completely different video. And when I saw this, my jaw dropped. The rest of the card is still pretty damn good. When you place a climax in your climax area, choose a Kavotos and one Kavotos in your waiting room. One in your level, one in your waiting room, and you can swap them so it lets you do the experience fixing, which is really nice. And then a brainstorm, pay one rest, this mill 4 for each climax. Choose a Kavotos character in your waiting room, return it to your hand. So overall, even just those second two effects will make this a very good brainstormer to run. The fact of the like, oh cool, if I somehow refresh a climax or a copy of itself, mind you, I would honestly run it at 4 copies at that point. That's just me, and it only happens once per turn. It's just really funny. It's so dumb, but yes, I love that. It is so cool. So, moving on. 2 copies of The Place Where We Belong, Shiroko. It is a 00500. If this card is in your level, it gains +3 levels. So you can purposely put this there, and it's constantly giving you 3 experience. So, place on stage from your hand, discard a card. If you do reveal the top card of your deck, choose a level X or lower character. In waiting room, add it to hand. X is equal to the level of the revealed card. Very classic for standby, but also just a good card in general. Foreclosure Task Force Serika is a 001K. Place on stage from hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Kavotos, give one of your characters 2k power till end of turn. Very nice to maybe bump up your level 1 combo or something. You don't have to reverse with it, but just have it bigger is always nice. During the turn, this card is placed on stage from hand. When it attacks, pay 1, pitch 2 to search your deck for 2 Kavotos characters. This is kind of a key thing to go ahead and get as many copies of the Hifumi as possible. So this is very, very key. I remember watching Phantom use this a whole bunch. So very, very good card there. 3 copies of. And then 2 copies of Tea Party is a 2/1 yellow event. Search your deck for 2 Kavotos characters, reveal them to your opponent, put them in your hand, choose a card in your hand, put it into your waiting room, shuffle your deck. Then you may choose 1 card in your level and 1 card in your waiting room and exchange them. So once again, more level fixing for your experience and whatnot. You can do it very easily in Blue Archive. Also, just search the copies that you need for like the Hifumi or whatever else you need. Just very nice. All right, that is it for the rest of the deck. 4 copies of Summer Skies Wishlist for the choice trigger for the Hifumi. Just very cute artwork and everything. And then 4 copies of Outlaws Backup with the Problem Solver 68 crew. Very cool, the standby. And that is going to be it for the deck. A big thank you to PhantomStar for sharing this in the Base Damage Discord. If you want to do the same yourself and maybe see your deck posted in a video or something, feel free to join the Discord. There will be a link in the description. And if you do, there are 2 different channels that you can post in. There's a Community Fridays channel, obviously you can post there, but there's also a decklist submissions channel. Feel free to post in either one. If you post an English deck log link, it is much more likely to get shown because I can kind of show it nice and upfront, and you can see the card very easily. I can read it clearly. Like, everything's nice. It's just much better presentation wise, just saying. So thank you once again for watching. Y'all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and as always, remember to stay based.